What happens when two successful entrepreneurs get together for a drink? They talk shop, of course. So grab your favorite cocktail and sit alongside Scott DeLong and Vince Moiso, two seasoned business leaders that have driven their own companies to success, as they share from their experience and dive deep into the secret sauce that can turn a company around. The CEO Podcast starts now.
Hi, welcome to the CEO Podcast. I'm Scott DeLong. I'm here with my friend Vince Moiso, and today we're going to talk about delegating. We talked a little bit about this on an earlier podcast, yet we got some feedback from one of the listeners who said, that's great, but we need to know more.
Yeah.
It wasn't enough. You just teased us with it. So great. So we'll talk about that a little bit. So I'm going to have, well, first of all, let's talk about the beer that we're drinking, because this is the first time I've been here. This is Lost Winds.
And by the way, it's better that we start with the beer, because I think in our first couple episodes, we ended with the beer, and, you know, poor people have to wait the whole time and not know what we're drinking.
Yeah. So we've already had a few tastes of this, just so you know, and it comes from Lost Winds, which is another local San Clemente brewery. My first time there, actually. I've been here for 20-something years, and it's the first time I've gone in there. And I talked to Chris. Chris was the beer tender at the time, and I had him talk to me about his IPAs, and he said, well, this one's my favorite, right? And he went to the Zoom Juice. It's a hazy IPA, double IPA.
Yeah.
8.1% alcohol. So probably why Chris's favorite.
Yeah.
So we'll see how we like it. The taste
doubles,
we've had so far.
The doubles are good, and I can tell you it's very smooth. It goes down very easy, and for all the hazies that I've had before, it's a tasty one. So I would just I would say proceed with caution on this one.
Well, we'll see how it gets in about 20-25 minutes in. We'll see how we're doing. Yeah. I will say, though, it went well with the pizza that we had. So we had TJ's Woodfire Pizza, another San Clemente organization. We like supporting the people that are close to us. So anyway, we're going to talk about delegation today.
Okay,
we're going to go a little bit deeper into that. You'd mentioned, this was on our podcast on accountability.
Yep.
That delegation was the thing. And it got into my mind about empowerment and all of those. So there's sometimes to and sometimes not to. Or let's hear your view on delegation. When do you delegate? Who do you delegate to? How do you delegate? What's your thought process?
Well, you know what? So before we even get into that, and by the way, so I'll just mention, you already said it, empowerment and delegation to me go hand in hand. Mm-hmm. And in order to delegate, it's basically you're extending this trust to somebody. You're empowering them to do their job, and you're saying, I trust you to do your job. I mean, and we talked about trust already. So it's funny how things just come full circle. And I think there's just a symbiotic relationship between all of these topics that we talk about on the podcast, which is what I love about it. And delegation is really, really important piece of that. What I want to do is rewind the tape a little bit, because I want to talk about how bad I was at delegation before, you know, and in my previous business, you know, I tended to follow the mantra of, if you want something done right, do it yourself. And I ended up doing a lot of things myself. And I found that I didn't have time to really lead. I didn't have time to work on the business. I didn't have time to do a lot of the things that would have made me a good leader if I would have just trusted, delegated, and empowered. Instead, I didn't do a great job of delegating because, again, you know, I had shared in an earlier podcast, it's just I thought everybody ran at my pace. I thought everybody understood what I understood. And I was just constantly disappointed. And it was no different. No wonder I created this, you know, scenario where I'm working 60 plus hours, 80 hours sometimes. I'm just constantly working, and I thought it was okay. And it's not okay. It's absolutely detrimental to your health, and it's not good for your business. And I think people think that it is, and it absolutely isn't. And until you learn the art of delegation, which came really difficult for me, and I want to tell you why before you respond. I have control issues. I have total control issues, and I want to control everything that's going on. And oftentimes, in order to control everything that's going on around me, then I have to do it myself. And I can't, it's hard for me to let go and just say, I'm gonna trust you,
That's it.
right? That you're just going to do it right. And I had a really hard time of getting over that hump of control. I think control was controlling me, if I could say that.
So here's where what my response was going to be to that is that I think it's more than detrimental to your business because of your health and your time and what you're focusing on working in your business instead of on your business, which is the cliche that we talk about.
Yeah.
There's more than that, though. It is detrimental to your people. It is detrimental to them.
No question.
So here's how I learned how to delegate is one thought process. And this came actually with my time in Nar-Anon and Al-Anon, which is, here we are having a beer, but yeah, okay. And that what I learned there was that by doing things for others, thinking I'm doing it better or for them or all that, what I'm actually doing is keeping those people small.
Yeah.
Not giving them an opportunity.
Yeah.
Not giving them the chance to be what I've been able to become.
Mm-hmm.
And it's keeping people small. I don't want to do that. So where I learned to delegate was kind of a moral issue for me. It became a moral issue.
Yeah.
I was keeping people small, and I don't want to do that.
And in fact, you distrust, right? You create distrust because ultimately when I don't delegate and when I don't empower somebody to do their job, I'm saying, I really don't trust you to do your job. That I never thought that that's what I was saying. I never understood that was the message.
That's what they were hearing.
Yeah, I didn't know that was the message I was giving out. Yeah. I just thought, you know what, I got to get things done and I'm going to just do it, right? So yeah, right, Nike slogan, just do it. You know, and I think that carries into business. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of high performance, they follow that, not realizing the message they send to others because they're not empowering them, they're not trusting them, they're not delegating in a way that says exactly like what you're saying is, hey, I trust you to do your job. In fact, not only do I trust you to do your job, I trust you to do your job well and right and the way that we want it to get done. And that's a big deal. Let me step back though, because I want to get your take on this. Yeah. I believe that there's a lot of people, specifically business owners, entrepreneurs, high performers in businesses, those at the C-level, I believe they have the same control issues that I dealt with. I believe that a lot of people have that issue and they don't even know it because it was a blind spot for me. I didn't even know it. I didn't realize it until it really got pointed out to me that someone was brave enough to really point that out. And then I took steps to look in the mirror and do a lot of self-development that got me beyond that. And it's this topic of letting go, because I don't think you can really delegate until you let go. And I want to give one example before you answer that.
All right.
You know, I was at an entrepreneurs organization event recently, and I was talking to a business owner that, you know, just came out of that accelerator group, right? So now, you know, now he's playing with the big boys, and he said, you know, what are, you know, top 5 things that you did that radically shifted your business? Well, I got down to number 3, and I said, delegate. I said, delegate is one of the top 5 things that I did. And I explained to him that I had to let go of that control. And I saw the glaze in his eyes that I see from any entrepreneur that I've consulted with when I tell them that same thing, because they don't believe it. And I saw in him the same thing that was in me. Yeah. He was a non-believer that you could actually do that.
So I think with the clients that I've had, one of the reasons that they don't delegate is because they're supposed to be this omnipotent human that knows all and does all and can see all and do all, and therefore I'll just do it better than everyone else.
Yeah.
But not true. It's just not true. We're good at what we're good at, and we learned how to do a bunch of other things, and that's gave us a breadth of knowledge. Great. But that guy over there or that gal over there that's been doing that thing, that has been studying it or working on it, she's better than we are at it. Yet we have this illusion that we're the boss, therefore we must be great at everything, and we'll just show them. We'll just show them how. Not necessarily true. But I absolutely believe you're good at what you're good at. But there's other people that are too.
Yeah.
And we may never know that they're good at what they're good at if we don't give them an opportunity. And that's our fault. It's not their fault.
Yeah.
You know, I get called in a lot of times to organizations that the boss asked me to help fix his people.
Of course.
It's not his people's fault. It's your fault for not letting them the opportunity.
Yeah.
But there's time to not delegate as well. There are some times to not delegate.
Of course.
So I'll talk to an entrepreneur and say, well, delegate everything. No, not delegate everything.
Yep.
There's some very specific times that I won't delegate. When the responsibility is above their I think responsibility and authority have to match with each other, right? And if they don't, people are going to be unhappy with whatever, too much responsibility or not enough authority, any of those kind of things, if they're not at an equal level. So if I'm giving somebody a task to do that is way above their pay grade, or that I haven't provided them the tools to know how to do or to learn how to do, don't delegate.
Yeah.
If I don't have the time to coach that person that I want to grow, right? Not everyone has the tools today, but they need some coaching. So I'm going to delegate things, get off my plate. That's what a lot of entrepreneurs say. But that's not why. What I'm delegating for is to help these people become who they can become. Now it's incumbent upon me. My job is to coach them when they need help, not overcoach them, not tell them the things that how to do things. Let them play, let them try, let them come back and ask questions. And if I don't have the time to coach them, I shouldn't be delegating to them.
Yeah.
That's not fair.
Yeah. My coach, I love what you're saying there. And, my coach told me early on, so in the glass business, I'm totally responsible for top line. Like, top line is so critical to scaling this business and getting it where it needs to be, right? And I'm completely responsible for top line. Okay. With that said, my coach challenged me and he said, you need to know on a deep level, intimately, your top 5 to 10 clients. So that's not a responsibility, just as an example, that's not a responsibility that I can just completely delegate to somebody else. I need to be directly involved. Do I have people that will help me and work with me? Absolutely. Right. But that's not something that I'm really going to delegate because it's that critical to the business. My business partner is knee deep in finance, and we share operations and admin and some other things in terms of responsibility. And we have a lot of great people that we can delegate so many things to. But on the finance side, he's so critical to, because we've been in turnaround mode for the last 4 years, right? So he's so critical to that component. He knows it. If he's sitting right here with us, he could spit off whatever question you had for him regards to finance because it's that critical to the business. So while, let's say, some of the day-to-day, some of the statements that need to get done or updated, the reports that need to get, okay, great, he can delegate all of that. But there's some components of that are so critical to the business, you can't delegate that, nor should he be delegating that because of the mode that we're in as a business. So I agree with you. Like, there are certain things that you've just got to get to know. What can you do? What can't you do? So let me offer a nugget, if that's okay.
Yeah.
And this is one of the things that I did. I went to a whiteboard and I wrote down all of the things that I do on a daily or weekly basis. Then I identified the stuff I like to do and the stuff I don't like to do, right? Then I identified those things that were critical for me to do and were really not critical for me to do. And then I created a list of, this is what I need to keep doing and stay focused on, and this is what I need to get rid of today.
Yeah.
And so once you go through that drill, and that is something, believe it or not, you can do on your own. You don't necessarily need a coach or somebody to walk you through that. You can do that on your own. But once you do that drill, I remember it hit me like a brick wall when I saw the list of all the shit that I was doing. I literally went, oh my God, why am I doing all of that?
So I read an article just today, in fact. It was a Harvard Business Review article, and it talked about the C-level people, and it talked about, do I want to be essential or do I want to be important? And we want to be important, right? We do the things that, only I can do that kind of stuff.
Sure.
No, the essential stuff, the things that we're essential on are the strategic planning, the leadership pieces, which is driving culture, getting things done through and with people. We're limited to just, if I'm that control freak that you were talking about, and I want to just take it all in, we are limited to what I can do. That's it. I only have 24 hours, 7 days a week, and I might need to sleep a little bit during that period of time too, or spend some time with my family, or do some of these other work-life balance concepts, right? But so I need to learn how to delegate better if I'm going to be a leader, and to delegate the things that I can delegate to folks.
Yep.
Might be slightly above their abilities today, and that's where my coaching comes in.
Yeah.
Or finding them a coach.
Let's get them there.
I don't have to be the coach, right? Could find them a coach to help them get through that thing, so that they can take on more, become who they want to be, need to be for the company, and we can have more of us instead of just me.
You know, I started asking the question too. This is a novel idea, right? And I never thought to ask it before, but I started asking the question, hey, you know, I've got some key people that are doing some amazing things. And I said, well, what do you want? Like, what's your track here? You know, what's the next step for you? How do you want to grow? And when I was amazed at some of the answers, I was surprised at some of them, not so much with others. And what's great is when they said, okay, yeah, I want to be VP, or I want to do this, I want this track, I want this growth opportunity. Great, let's create that. So let's identify what that looks like. Let's define what that looks like, define the responsibilities. What are you doing today versus what do you need to be doing to get to that level? Let's get there. And then if you need some additional education or development, whatever that might look like, then okay, we can create a plan to get that person there. And I think the critical component of all that is they have the desire to get there in the first place. If they have desire to get there, then they're going to do the work to get there, right?
So you touched on a really good point. We talked earlier about how delegation leads to empowerment. And I had a professor tell me one time, she said, you can't empower people. No, but you can provide them the tools for them to take it, right? So they go back to that desire, that desire piece. So have you ever had somebody in your organization where you said, well, I want you to do this task for me. I want you to do this thing, right?
Yeah.
You're delegating.
Yeah.
And they said, oh my God, I'm not sure I can do that. Right?
Yeah, of course.
And if I just dumped it on them, then that's not fair.
Mm-hmm.
But it takes a little bit of coaching even in that to say, well, here's what you can do. Here's the things that I've seen you do.
Yeah.
You've done this. This is very similar to that. You did this thing. You did this thing. You sure you don't want to give it a try? Well, I'll try, but don't hold me to this. No. It's we are going to do this.
Yeah.
We are going to do this.
Yeah.
I'm with you. Right. So that's where the coaching piece comes in. And the empowerment is if I just granted someone empowerment, just waved my magic wand and said, you are empowered, and they don't have the tools, they don't have the desire, they don't have the skill set, they don't have all that, there's no empowerment there.
Well, in fact, how common is that in businesses? And I've worked with businesses that have done exactly that. You know, it's the old story that you hear time and time again, that they take the top sales rep and turn them into a manager. Well, the problem isn't the person and their ability. It's that you just turned them into a manager and you gave them no development to become a manager. Being a manager and being a producer are two different things. And you didn't give them the development, you just gave them a title. So that makes no sense. That's not delegating, by the way. No. That's not empowerment in any way. You know, it's the same thing. I worked with an organization that, you know, they were afraid. So how often does this happen is you get some turnover, right, on some key people, and you don't want to lose somebody. So you just make them a VP.
Right.
You just go, I'm just going to make you a vice president. But I didn't do anything to tell you what it even means to be a vice president. I didn't redefine your role and responsibility and then provide you with the development that's going to help you become a vice president.
Just gave you an ego boost.
No, I just gave you the title and said, go.
Yeah.
That's not empowerment, and that's not delegation in any way. Those are common pitfalls, and I wanted to point those out.
Yeah, no, that's good. In fact, I created a whole course. It was called Leadership for the Frontline Manager for an organization that was promoting individual contributors that were doing a great job, so they deserved a promotion without having any idea whether or not they could manage anybody, and without giving them any of the skills, any of the tools, any of the training for that. They said, here you go. Here's your problem. You are now in charge of all these people. Oh, by the way, you used to be friends with all these people. Now you're their boss, and I'm not giving you the tools on how to even deal with that little component. How hard is that?
Yeah.
We used to have the same job. Now you're my boss. You know what the military does? They transfer people. So that if you go from a corporal to a sergeant, you get shipped out and go somewhere else, so that you're not trying to work with your peers, with your friends.
Well, and that's the mistake that people can make, right? Is they move into a management role and they're still working with their friends, and they, isn't it the same thing as the parent that tries to be the friend to the child instead of actually being a parent? It's similar.
And
to
even
that.
if you're not, everyone else thinks you are.
Yeah.
Right? You're giving them special. Anyway,
and you're
that's
still
that's a whole nother podcast that we can talk about.
It is. And I mean, just bringing in delegation to that, it becomes challenging. So I think that is a pitfall. To your point, that is a pitfall. Is the fact that you're still not accomplishing delegation. You're still not accomplishing empowerment. And
so I like your whiteboard idea, right? Putting all the different things that you're doing. So you can do this on individual tasks as well. It doesn't have to be all your responsibilities.
Totally.
Individual tasks.
Yeah.
And you ask yourself a few questions. Can someone else do this?
Yeah.
Should someone else do this?
Yeah.
Who should be the person that can do this? If you can answer those questions affirmatively, then delegate and free yourself up for something. Or the fourth one is this an opportunity for them to learn and grow? And it's going to take me more time to work with them than it would be to do it myself. Knowing that right up front, if I can help somebody learn and grow and I have the time, that fourth question may be the most important than the other three. Can someone else do it? Should someone else do it? And who should do it? Great. Those are good questions to ask. But that fourth piece is, can this help somebody learn and grow? And do I have the time to do it with them?
Yeah. The reality is exactly what you said, is once you've created that list and you've identified what you don't want to do or what you shouldn't be doing, then you have to take that list and you have to say, who am I going to delegate this to and by when?
Yeah.
You have to do that. And the by when is very important, because if you're not putting a stop date on that, then you're just going to keep spinning your wheels on it.
So here's what we need: from who, by when. Go back to an earlier conversation that we had. And how am I going to follow up?
Yeah.
All right. What am I going to do to follow up with
that?
Right? All that's important.
And keep yourself accountable to getting that done. I want to go back to something you said earlier. I'm not sure that I agree with your professor in regards to just being able to empower somebody. And I want to talk about it in the context of hiring. And I think when you hire talent and you bring on talent, and you bring on certain talent for the right reasons, and when you're already in the mode in your business where you're delegating and empowering your people. So as I've mentioned to you, empowering people is a value of our business, right? So it's super important that we're constantly allowing people to do their jobs and they feel the freedom and flexibility to be able to do their jobs and perform at a high level. So when we hire, the hiring process becomes really critical. It's so important because now you can write out the criteria of the person that you want. So when they step into that role, you're immediately empowering. Yeah, sure. Are there coaching moments? There's always going to be coaching moments, but I would tell you that some of the more recent hires in the past year or two were just that. They were hires that could move into that role, immediately have an impact, and immediately be empowered to do exactly what they were hired to do.
Yeah. So but it takes two things, right? So, and this is where she was not wrong. There's part of it that I argued and I debated with her on this too.
I'm sure you did.
But yes, I can empower. So I have to be willing to give it up, to empower.
Yeah.
And they have to be willing to take it, or it's not going to work. Mm-hmm. And that's really the point when it gets down to it. That's probably more the point that she was trying to make, is that it doesn't matter what I do, if they're not willing to, then it doesn't.
And ready, right?
Yeah.
Willing and ready to embrace that responsibility.
And not, it doesn't mean capable today, but ready, be willing to be ready is not necessarily being capable of it. It means willing to learn something new.
Yeah.
Willing to take that risk and learn something new, and that's okay too. In fact, that's great. That's what I want from people. So there's two words that I like to use when I'm thinking about hiring. You brought that up, is willingness and curiosity. Those things trump almost everything else for me.
Yeah,
I can teach you how to, I don't know, whatever, do the thing, build glass or
whatever it is,
whatever the task. We can teach those skills. But willingness and curiosity, man, I think that's somebody's parents that did that. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What they learned when they were growing up.
Being coachable, right?
Yeah.
You know, we talk about somebody that's coachable is always going to be willing and ready to learn. Scott, it reminded me of I'd be remiss if I didn't mention what is absolutely not delegating, right? And, I talked about the list and I talked specifically about what you like to do versus what you don't like to do. Mm-hmm. Now, delegation is not dumping your trash on somebody either. So it's not like, oh yeah, I don't like to do all these little things, so I'm just going to dump that on somebody else, and they're not going to like it any more than you do either. So that's not delegating.
My wife does not like picking up my socks from the floor.
Yeah,
that's not delegating.
Well, I mean, if you heard all the conversations between my wife and I on whether or not I like to do dishes and how I like to take the dishes out of the dishwasher and all that other stuff, I don't like doing that. I'm thankful that she does and she's willing to do it because it's one of those things I just don't want to do. That being said, my point is that's a partnership.
Yeah.
And, probably not the greatest analogy,
different.
but when you're in a business and you're working in a business, you can't dump your trash on somebody. That's not delegating. Delegating has to be intentional. It has to be for the right reasons, good reasons, things like that, where you are really empowering somebody ultimately to do their job. So I just want to make that clear. Yeah. It's not that you can't delegate some of the things that you don't like to do. You absolutely can. I just want to make it clear that, oh, wait, no, I like all these things. Well, you don't really like them. You just want to hold on to them, and then here's all this shit and you're just going to dump that off on somebody. That really doesn't work. So when I talk about putting those lists together, you have to be very intentional about it. You have to be very genuine and authentic about it such that it creates time for you. Because this is what we're talking about is it's creating time. And whether that time is for you to get back in touch with your personal life, with your family, with everything else, or whether it's for you to work on the business and really focus on those things, whatever the reasons are, that's what we're talking about. It's to create time for you and at the same token, empower someone else in your business that's a rising star, whoever that is, that can take on that role and be excited that they're going to be empowered and trusted to do so.
So you use the word intentional a couple times in there, and I like the root of that intent. What's my intent here, right? What is my intent? If my intent is to dump my trash, check yourself, all right? If my intent is to free up time so that I can do things that only I can do in this organization, great.
Yep.
If my intention is to delegate to help other people learn and grow, that's a good one as well.
Yeah.
So check your intent. That's another good question to ask yourself.
Check yourself before you wreck yourself.
There you go.
That was just a little hit for my daughter Isabella. Just shout out for her.
All right. So we're at time now.
Yeah.
So tell me about what'd you think about the beer?
I like the beer. I mean,
you delegated to getting the beer.
I didn't realize actually, we were drinking it earlier, and until until we started the podcast and you mentioned that it was a double, I didn't realize it was a double, and that explains a lot. And it's super smooth. It goes down very easy. It's tasty. It's actually one of the better hazies admittedly, it's one of the better hazies that I've had. Very, very smooth. I like it.
Well, we've got some.
And I would drink it again.
Yeah, this is my first time at Lost Winds, and it's not going to be my last time. So
no question.
I enjoyed it. And shout out to Chris for suggesting this. Chris, thank you very much. I appreciate it. This was really good. So thanks for another good episode. Cheers. Till next time.
Thank you for joining us for the CEO Podcast. To learn more about Scott and Vince, please visit theceopodcast.net and check out the calendar to tune in for our next episode. While on the site, you can also listen to past episodes, access additional content created for our listeners, and if you would like to dive deeper into any topic, there is an option to schedule some time with Scott or Vince. Thanks for listening.